Well, I get your point, but I don't know if I totally agree. I mean, Anya, I'm God, God's self, and even I can't make God stop from making some people homeless and other people moneyed, some people ill and other people healthy, some people mean and others nice, some people smart and others dull.
Yeah, but that's easy for you to say. After all, you're God. So what does it matter to you if some puny little creature has less money than some other puny little creature? It's time we held you responsible for yourself. If you can't grant happiness to all of your creation, then we won't worship you anymore. In fact, we'll kill you. God laughs. It's a busy train, so they're having one of those whispered arguments. But even still, some of their fellow passengers can hear them, and a few of them look amused by this strange conversation.
Kill me? What are you talking about, kill me? By killing me, you'll only kill yourself.
Well, it's better than being the slave of some wannabe deity who does a half-assed job at taking care of us.
Is it really? Is it really? How do you know? Or are you just getting carried away by your emotions?
Fuck you! Getting carried away by my emotions? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Whoa. I don't want this to get hostile. All I'm saying is, I really don't think that killing me, and thereby killing yourself and everyone, is going to solve your problem. Your problem is that you don't think I take good care of my children. Is that true?
Yes.
So, but let me ask you, Anya, why do lions eat gazelles? Why do cats eat mice? Why do sharks eat small fish? Isn't that just how life works? Isn't it good that way?
No, it's not. I don't believe that it's just for an animal to kill another animal in order to sustain its own life. I don't see why you had to create carnivores at all. I want you to change that too. Why is it that life relies on death for its sustenance? In fact, I don't even believe in the killing of plants to feed ourselves. Why couldn't you have just made us all plants so that we could synthesize our energy directly from inanimate sources?
You want to be a plant. You want to say goodbye to cities and art and music and sex and walking and talking and flying in planes?
Yes. None of those things are entirely good in and of themselves. All of them cause me to feel pain along with any joy they might bring me. Thus, I'm content to leave them, especially considering that if I was a plant, I wouldn't remember being a human. I wouldn't know what I'd be missing. Make me a plant. Make everyone a plant. Then you'll realize that your creation isn't perfect or even good at all. God turns away from Anya and stares at a lady in the corner of the train who's so stinky that she's got a full seat to herself. Granted, it's only one of those two-person corner seats, and she's laughing and muttering to herself, and she's got crooked teeth, and she's rocking back and forth real vigorously, and she's got this intense light in her eyes that's brighter than all the other lights. And she just keeps on laughing even though no one's saying anything funny. And suddenly she turns her head and meets God's eyes, and she smiles at him and laughs even more hysterically than before. God turns back to Anya.
I can't turn you and everyone into a plant.
What do you mean?
I can't. I'm not able. I'm not allowed.
Well, who's forbidding you? You're God, aren't you? So what greater authority is there?
I forbid myself.
Well, then unforbid yourself.
I can't.
Why not?
Because when I created everything, I put in a password to prevent anyone, including myself, from tampering with it until all of eternity has played out. And when I put in the password, I sort of mashed all the keys. I don't know what the password is.
This is 5th Avenue, 53rd Street. Transfer available to the E train. Anya looks at God furiously, but really a lot of her fury is directed at herself. She is upset with herself for having a tantrum on the subway, and she is upset that she got so worked up trying to get God to be anything other than a person. "Stand clear of the closing doors, please," says the clunky male voice that always says these words. Anya wonders if the man who spoke those words ever feels sad or wonders about his place in the universe. He certainly tried hard not to sound contemplative on the recording, but Anya thinks it might just be a facade. Perhaps the stand clear of the closing doors voice actor is really a poet or a lover. "I'm sorry, God," she says, taking his hand as they melt out of the train.
It's okay, Anya,
says God. They come out of the station in lighter spirits. It's now 4:30 and completely dark, but they can still feel the oppression of the clouds upon them.
Don't you ever wish you could touch the clouds?
Says God. Yes, I do. Anya gazes dreamily up at the clouds and then over at God. She sees his sharp jawbone and his strong neck. He catches her looking at him.
Here.
He hands her a cigarette and lets her use his lighter. He lights one for himself and they walk slowly, enjoying themselves. They come up to the door of the MoMA, where there's no line, this being just a Wednesday evening, and God holds the door open for Anya. She kisses him on the cheek as she goes through. They walk up to the ticket counter, and God takes out his wallet and stops Anya from reaching for her purse, saying,
I've got this.
Once again, Anya watches God pay for their tickets and knows that his money isn't real, nor are the tickets. She doesn't know where they really are, but she knows they're not at the Museum of Modern Art. She thinks they might be in a landfill or at the bottom of the Hudson, but she's forced to keep playing the role of an enchanted damsel in the company of a dashing, enigmatic man. They walk down to the main hall and give their tickets to a bald security guard who dreams all sorts of things at night, but whose dreams usually have something to do with having to make a large quantity of food in a short amount of time. He takes their tickets nervously and says, "Enjoy your visit." He wants to say more. He wants to have a long conversation about art with them, as he does with all the guests whose tickets he takes. And he wants to know about their favorite places in the world, and about the times when they felt very hurt and very afraid. And he wants to sing them the chorus of a song he loves, and whose title and composer he's forgotten, but which haunts him as he rides the train home or shops for groceries. God and Anya see that his eyes are practically welling up with tears, and they want to smother him with kisses, and Anya wants to sit on his lap and suck his nose, but they don't because, you know why.
People are just adorable, aren't they?
Says God as they walk up the stairs to the galleries. Well, sure, but how do you mean?
I mean, look at me,
says God, and Anya does, and she sees that God's skin is peeling off and his teeth are upside down, and his heart is beating ocean waves. Anya shudders.
Now, look at that guy. Him. The one holding hands with the girl wearing tight jeans. Yeah, him. He's adorable, see? With his greasy hair and little mustache. He goes to sleep in a white cotton t-shirt and boxers. And every so often that girl will sleep in bed next to him. And they'll have sex. And he'll want to cry because he thinks she's so beautiful. And he just wants her to think that he's beautiful. So beautiful that she'll spend her whole life with him. And he'll be able to wake up next to her precious face and see it light up when he sees his face.
Well, does she? Does she think that he's beautiful?
Look at how she laughs with him. She knows she's pretty. She knows that a lot of guys think she's pretty, but she loves him because he was there for her on the rainy day when she was alone in the West Village and she needed someone. They're happy together.
Are we happy together, God?
Why did you leave the apartment last night?
I thought you left.
No, you left and went walking around Brooklyn, and then you rode the train for hours. Why did you leave?
But when I came back, I was suddenly back in my bed, and I watched you open the bedroom door and come back in bed.
But how do you even know that I'm here with you, Anya? How do you know you're not alone?
Come on, knock it off, God. The entrance to one of the galleries is enveloping. There are white walls all around and people with quizzical expressions staring at the paintings. I can touch you, she says, turning her head to look at God and raising her arm to touch him. There's no one there. She's alone. She stops walking and can't see anything. It's a moment before she realizes that she's standing in front of a painting of tears falling from a woman who's sitting beside a record player while it's raining outside. The woman is wearing a purple skirt and a lilac blue blouse. She's got long brown hair, which she wears elegantly. She isn't wearing any shoes. This isn't her house, says a voice. Anya whirls around and there's a man standing next to her without any eyes. She tries to run away, but the man grabs her arm and suddenly he has eyes again. And Anya remembers that his name is Martin and he's a classmate of hers. You died, didn't you? Anya nods. How old were you? 15. Why did you die? I had an eating disorder, and I was depressed. How did you do it? I jumped off a bridge onto the freeway near my house. Did it hurt? I didn't feel anything. Right after I hit the ground and saw the headlights approaching, I woke up in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I was 19. So, this is your afterlife. I guess so. When will it end? I don't know. There's a moment of silence. All that can be heard is the creaking of the wood floors of the gallery as people move around and the rustling of their clothes and their soft conversation. Anya loves everyone here. She wants to touch them all and see what's underneath their clothes and what's inside their minds. She looks up at Martin, and he has a soft face, and his eyebrows are cocked slightly, anticipating her next words. And she takes a step closer to him, and she lets him put his arms around her, and she rests her head on his chest. Because all she really wants, whether she's alive or dead, whether she's with God or Martin, is just for someone to hold her and let her put her head on their chest. And Martin kisses her head, and she says, "What did you mean when you said that this isn't her home?" Martin giggles slightly under his breath. I meant what I said. She's at someone else's home. I think she's at her boyfriend's house, and her boyfriend was trying to get her in the mood. See how there's a wine glass on the side table, and it's about an eighth full of red wine? Anya turns her head while keeping it rested on Martin's chest. And so he was trying to woo her, you know? But then he said something wrong. Maybe he let slip something that he thought was a memory he shared with her, but was really something that happened with a mistress of his. And they got into an argument about it. And this painting is depicting the moment after they've both said a bunch of horrible things to each other. And now they hate each other and themselves. But this woman can't make herself leave. Martin, Anya wriggles out of his hold. I don't know what's going on. A minute ago I was with God. I only came here because God wanted me to come with him. But then he disappeared and I was alone. And then you showed up. I don't know what's going on. Martin looks concerned. He takes a step away from Anya. Anya, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been with you the whole time. We rode the bus up here, don't you remember? We had a good time talking about flowers and all the colors. Anya looks at him hard for a few moments. She remembers watching a movie where the main character was a girl, and she took acid, and she started having a panic attack, and she tried to explain herself to her friends, but they couldn't understand her. She remembers the girl's face as she realized that nothing she said or did was ever going to make them understand her, as she realized that her very interactions with her friends themselves were just a hallucination. Her face became all wrinkly and distorted, and her eyebrows were so tall, and her eyes were twitching back and forth, and her mouth was open too wide. Anya runs out of the gallery and jumps over the balustrade. She falls over 60 feet and lands face first on the floor of the main entrance hall, but she doesn't die. God comes up to her and touches her on the shoulder, and then slides his hand down her back and touches her head, and then turns her over onto her back. He picks her up in his arms and carries her out of the MoMA. When they get out into the open air, he puts her down on the ground and gets down on his hands and knees and kisses her on the lips, and she kisses him back.